I want to do a short little video about handling tapered tangs without using elaborate fixtures or shims or feeler gauges or anything like that to drill the holes so that they are perpendicular to the center line of the spine. So this is a knife I'm going to use for the example. It's 1/4 inch thick, has a nice taper to the tang. So the first thing we're going to want to do is measure the thickness of the knife at the front and the thickness of the knife at the rear or the pommel area. So we measure that, and it's 250 thousandths 1/4 inch at the front and 0.094 94 thousandths at the rear. Our handle is 5 inches long. We need to figure out the difference in thickness between here and here, and then what that is per side of the knife. So we'll take our front thickness of 250 and subtract our rear thickness of 094, and that gives us 0.156. That's the total thickness and difference from here to here. So now, to get the difference per side, we divide that by 2 and we get 0.078. So measure your difference, subtract the small number from the large number, divide that by 2, and that gives us our difference in thickness from the center line from the front to back, which would be right here, 0.078, if the lines were to be parallel with the center line of the knife. So now we want to taper our scales to act as the fixture for when we're drilling, so that the outside of the scales are perpendicular to the center line of the knife, right, when we're drilling through. So we just put the blade, clamp the blade to one set of scales and drill through. Do the same thing on the other side, drill through, and all the holes will be perpendicular to the center line. So we need to figure out the angle right here. So picture this, this is our 078, and that's the length of the handle, 5 inches. We need to figure out what this angle is. We know that this is going to be a 90-degree angle, so we go to a triangle calculator on the computer. And I like to use the triangle calculator at calculator.net. So we know that our one angle is 90 degrees. We know the length of our handle is 5 inches, and the difference in height from the center line is 0.078. So we input that information, and we calculate, and we're looking for this angle. So that is 0.894 degrees. So 0.894 degrees is this angle. We write that down. Now our scales are 7 inches long. They're 1/2 inch thick. And we need to figure out what we need to taper this side to so that everything's perpendicular. That's the goal of all of this. But since our scales and the tang are a different size, we can't just scribe the thickness and go on with it. So what we need to do is, now our scales are 7 inches long, still 90 degrees here. We know what this angle is because we figured it out up here, 0.894 degrees, and we need to figure out this height so that this height will be the difference between the back and the front of the scales. So we go back to our triangle calculator. We input 0.894 degrees in the one corner, 7 inches for our length, and 90 degrees for here. Now we don't ever know what this angle or this angle are, and we don't care because it doesn't matter. The calculator will give you that information, but you don't need it. So we have this angle, we have that length, we know that's 90 degrees. Now we're going to find the height. So we go back to our calculator. We have our information input of our corner angle of 0.894 our 7-inch length on the scales, 90 degree for the side. We hit calculate, and there we go, 0.109, 109 thousandths. That's the number we need. So this height is 109 thousandths. Whoop, not 19 thousandths, 109. So then, our scales are a 1/2 inch thick. We subtract our 109 thousandths and we get 391 thousandths. That's the number we need for the thickness of the front. So the front of our scale right here is going to be 391 thousandths thick. So we take our scale, we describe the front at 391 thousandths with calipers. You know our back is a 1/2 inch thick. We come over to the grinder, grind our taper into it on the flat platen, and then we're left with a shape like this. Thinner at the front, wider at the back. Same for both scales. Now all you have to do is clamp the one scale, drill your holes, then clamp the other scale, drill your holes through, and the final result is that your pinholes are perpendicular to the center line, and you'll be able to pass your pin stock right through it without any issue. And you don't have to make any special fixtures. It does take about 5 minutes to do the math, maybe a little less. It's not so bad. Might not be the best at explaining things, but hopefully you understand the concept. You're looking for the difference in thicknesses that we have to sand in. Just a little recap. Measure our thicknesses on the front, on the back of the tang. We subtract the small number from the large number. That gives us the difference in thickness from front to back. We need to know what that is per side because there's 2 scales. So we divide that by 2. The number that we get from that, we input into our triangle calculator. On the right angle side, we input the length of the tang where the handle is, and our 90 degrees, that and that. We run the calculator, that gives us this angle. Now we measure our scale length. We put that angle in that we just figured out, the length of our scales, and our 90 degree angle. Those are the 3 things we need to solve for the triangle. We need to know what this height is. So we run the triangle calculator, it gives us a number. We subtract that number from the thickness of our scales. They're 1/2 inch thick. We subtract the number we got from the thickness of the scales, and that gives us our answer. That's the thickness that we need to sand the scales to at the front. They'll be thinner here, thicker here, and they're tapered. That angle corresponds with the taper that we put in the tang. We use the scale itself as the fixture for drilling our pinholes. And we lay their scale with the taper up against the tapered tang of the knife. The angles that we're drilling the pinholes through form a 90 degree angle with the outside of the scale. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. I am not a mathematics instructor.